Grip socks are great, and now they're even better with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Better fit, moisture wicking, amazing comfort, and all the extra grip you need. Choose from 10 different colors for just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
Are top-end football boots too expensive? Probably. Do you need expensive football boots to play well? Definitely not. If you're a fan of leather football boots, are the very expensive boots I'm about to show you actually worth it? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the made in Japan Mizuno Morelia DNA, the second colorway we've seen for what is still a limited edition release, this time in white and metallic silver, which is probably the ultimate color combo for me personally. I don't know about you. The same $300 retail price, although this time around it is available as an FG boot that I have right here, as well as a mixed sole soft ground option if that's something that you need. But most importantly, it combines the incredible leather upper of the classic Morelia 2 with the sole plate and stud pattern of the modern Morelia Neo 3 Beta, which of course is Mizuno's speed boot offering. And for those of you that watched the annual SR4U Boot Awards, I picked this as the best leather football boot of 2021 and arguably the best leather football boots I've ever worn. By modern football boot standards, they're on the low-tech side of things, and I think visually probably don't appeal to people that are into stuff like Mercurials and X Speedflows. Nonetheless, if you're into football boots, certainly leather ones for all the right reasons, when you're talking about the quality of the leather, the quality of the construction, and the quality of the fit and comfort, this is a football boot that is extremely difficult to beat, which is what I want to talk about in today's video. I know a lot of people seem to think that Mizuno pays me to say nice things about their product. I can tell you that couldn't be further from the truth. They don't even have the money to pay professional players to wear their football boots, let alone some random guy on the internet. But I do think this is an excellent product. It's one of my personal favorite football boots of the year, and honestly, one of the best boots I've ever worn. I want to tell you why, as well as how they fit and feel in today's video. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review, and if you are interested in a pair for yourself, being that they are limited edition, get them before they're gone and get them a little bit below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the first link down below. So first things first, just look at these, and I know everyone has their opinion on what looks good and what looks bad in the world of football boots, but for me, especially being a fan of white football boots, the white base with the silver accents, especially the silver sole plate, which is actually the color of the plastic, not a wearable finish, something that I love Mizuno does not do, because I think wearable finish sole plates is one of the dumbest trends at the moment, as cool as some of them look. Nonetheless, this to me is an incredibly classy looking pair of football boots, and if you don't agree, you're just wrong. As for the technical side of things, the upper is taken directly from the classic Morelia 2, which is an equally good pair of leather football boots, but of course, it's a little bit less modern in terms of its overall shape, as well as the sole plate and stud pattern, where of course this takes the modern Morelia Neo 3 Beta setup, which is much more aggressive and a little bit lighter as well. Nonetheless, the Kangaroo leather upper found on the Morelia DNA here is pretty much unmatched by anything that isn't a classic Morelia 2, because that football boot has the exact same upper. The Kangaroo leather Mizuno uses on their made in Japan models is just the best of the best. And I know it kind of seems like I'm hyping up something that you can get from other brands for a lot less money, but trust me when I say there is something that Mizuno does differently from everybody else where their stuff just feels special. I know they're a lot of money, but if you really are looking for the best leather football boot experience, I don't think you can beat the upper of this product. I love the fact that pretty much the entire upper is made from Kangaroo leather, so you get a very uniform touch across the entire foot, and they just nail it with the thickness. It has the right amount of padding through the forefoot and toe box area without feeling clumsy. They're not bulky in any way, and in general, the boots are much lighter than you'd expect them to be, especially given that it does have a full leather upper. The central lacing system with the leather back tongue does an excellent job of giving you adjustability as well as good lockdown when the laces are tied tight. The structure by way of the Mizuno Runbird logo that you have on either side of the midfoot, not just there for the sake of aesthetics, it's there to add structure to the leather, pair that up with the nylon liner that you have on the inside, and they're surprisingly responsive football boots while maintaining a level of comfort that honestly you just can't get from anything else out there, leather or not. Like everything else from Mizuno, the boots feature a low-cut design with the same general shape that you find on the classic Morelia 2, where it does come up a little bit higher at the back, but not so high that it's uncomfortable or irritates the Achilles heel. The heel liner is top-notch in terms of being this really soft suede material, grips your socks nicely, and just feels incredible against the back of your foot. You're also gonna find that the amount of padding back here isn't too crazy, but they got the shape just right, especially when paired up with the external heel counter of this Morelia Neo 3 sole plate. And the overall lockdown and comfort you get through the heel is, again, pretty much best of the best in terms of what's out there right now. The insole is also fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. And it's very traditional in terms of having this nice synthetic suede lining on the surface, obviously very soft and also grips your socks nicely. And then it's made from a single layer of black foam, where you'll notice it says Morelia Neo, despite this being the Morelia DNA, and that's because this is taken directly from the Morelia Neo. Moving to the base of the boot, like I mentioned, you are going to find the speed boot offering from the Mizuno brand with this particular layout. It does include an external heel counter and of course is entirely made out of plastic, where you have this injected stiffener bar running through the middle that you can also see flows through the cutouts of the heel counter. Nonetheless, this is a sole plate that, unlike some of the more popular speed boots out there where it has a lot of kind of spring back effect, this has some of that, but it definitely trends on more of the traditional side of things in terms of being more natural in terms of how it moves with your foot, with still plenty of rigidity through the midfoot and heel that you'd expect from a modern day pair of football boots. To me, this is a very underrated sole plate. And again, despite looking very simple and I guess technically quite simple in comparison to what Nike and Adidas are doing, for example, I think the feel is great and works extremely well with the Morelia 2 upper that they've paired this with. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, this of course being the FG layout, something that is kind of a signature of Mizuno speed boots is the conical stud pattern, where you have these rounded studs that are angled slightly towards the outside that are intended to allow you to, I guess, make maximum surface contact, in that if you really think about it, when you're making contact with the ground, you're very rarely ever stepping perfectly flat. Your foot's always coming in at a little bit of an angle, so that's where that logic comes from as far as the angling of the studs. As far as performance is concerned, despite looking very traditional, the studs themselves have decent length to them and are relatively narrow in profile, so they penetrate the ground really nicely and provide a lot more bite than I think you might expect from a stud pattern that looks like this. But because of the rounded shape, and this is something where I think it has an advantage over most other speed boots out there right now, is you have that freedom to twist and pivot when your foot is planted, which arguably makes for a more speedy feel than some of these bladed stud patterns that are out there. Obviously, if you like the super aggressive blades of something like a Mercurial, this feels quite a bit different. But I think if you're just of the opinion that conical studs always feel old school, that's not exactly the case, and this is a great example of how good a more simple stud pattern can actually be. Which brings us to the weight, where due to millions of dollars in marketing money spent by big brands like Nike, Adidas, and Puma, you would be led to believe that a football boot that looks this traditional with a full kangaroo leather upper, old school materials, would be significantly heavier than the latest and greatest in modern speed boot technology. That's where you'd be 100% wrong, because in a size 9.5 US, the Morelia DNA weighs in at a remarkably lightweight 7.2 ounces, the equivalent of 204 grams, which, for comparison's sake, something like the Nike Mercurial Vapor 14 Elite, something like the Adidas X Speed Flow 0.1, probably the two most popular speed boots on the market right now, are pretty well exactly the same weight, give or take 1 or 2 grams, as the Morelia DNA. So if you're worried about going old school and having a football boot that feels heavy on your feet, these are physically not heavy. They're as light as just about everything. On feet, just like everything else about these football boots, it just doesn't get better than this. The comfort from the kangaroo leather, the way that the upper wraps your foot, the feel of the sole plate underneath your feet is just incredibly impressive. There's obviously not much in the way of break-in time required. They're very comfortable out of the box, but of course, being that they are made from really soft kangaroo leather that somehow doesn't lack structure, they are going to take some time to stretch and form to your feet, which basically means they're not uncomfortable at first, they're just gonna get more comfortable as you wear them in. As far as the width is concerned, because of the deep central lacing system, they have so much adjustability to them where they're going to fit just about everybody regardless of foot type. If you have extremely wide feet, they're maybe a little bit snug through the midfoot for you, but in general, these are gonna fit most people very, very comfortably. And then as far as sizing is concerned, because this does have the sole plate from the Morelia Neo 3 Beta, they do run a smidge long. I don't even wanna say a quarter size, it's gotta be less than that. But if you're coming from a pair of Morelia 2s, you're gonna find that these do run a little bit longer than those, but exactly the same as a Morelia Neo 3 Beta if you have a pair of those. But with that said, I'm still wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is pretty well perfect. My right foot is a little bit bigger than my left, so the fit is definitely better on my right than it is on my left foot, where I have that little bit of extra room. But I personally wouldn't necessarily recommend going down in size unless the boots you're wearing are already a little bit too big. For most people, true to size should be the way to go and is what I would personally recommend. So in conclusion, there's really only one question that needs to be answered, and that is the Morelia DNA worth the $300 price tag? And I think if you're just after a good quality pair of leather football boots, where you don't really care about how much you're spending, but you also don't necessarily want to spend as much as you need to, then I don't think these are worth it. You'd probably be just as happy with a $230 pair of Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elites, which are excellent football boots. I'd be happy to wear them. And honestly, they're gonna provide 95% of the same experience that these will. However, you don't buy these because you want good leather football boots. You buy these because you want the best leather football boots. And the difference between really good and the best is ultimately very small. You're gonna pay a premium to get that little bit of extra quality. But when you're talking about that little bit of extra quality in just about every single way, the Morelia DNA beats out its competition in incredibly impressive fashion.